Hey guys, how's it going? Value Venture Investing here today. So, today we have some very surprising news. Virgin Galactic released Q1 2021 earnings. And I found an abnormality in there, and I'm not too sure if I'm the only one who's found this, and it's a little bit something that I don't know a heck of a lot about. So we will get into that. Taking a look at the stock. Since my last video here, it has just gotten absolutely destroyed. Today it's, after hours in the 16s. At one point it was 10% down after hours. Like, this has been insane. So it's not something that's completely unexpected for me. I gave you my opinion on the last video that I would be interested in maybe the teens. It's changed a little bit now maybe. So what I've done here, briefly here, is I've done Q2 2020, Q3 2020, Q4 2020, and then of course this quarter, Q1 2021. So you can see the last 4 quarters, like if a company was, usually they base on the last 4 quarters, 12 months sort of thing, right? So again, revenue in thousands was 0 yet again. And I know if you watched my last video, there was some talk about the Italian Space Force maybe having revenue generating flights, same with NASA. Again, nothing, and we're going to get into why that's the case. Net income, now this is where it gets very interesting, to me at least. Net income was a loss of 129.69 million. So you can see progressively it's gotten worse going over the last 4 quarters. However, when they release their press release, they compare this Q1 2021 to make it look good, obviously. Q1 2020, right? Now I don't have this on the board, but Q1 2020 was just before this one. It was about $60 million loss. However, they say $377 million loss in Q1 2020. So I looked at that and I went, like, what's going on? Am I wrong here or something? And I noticed something. I noticed that if you look back at the screen right here, right now, that as of right now on this earnings report, they mentioned here that they have a change in fair value of warrants, and it's a loss of $316,000. However, if you go back to that quarter's actual earnings that I have on the screen here, is that anywhere to be seen? That's March 31st, 2020. That would be the first quarter of 2020. And no, I mean, we see a loss, operating loss, and a net loss of around $60 million. It's nowhere to be seen in there. So if you're wondering what's going on there, it appears to me that the revenue that they did generate in that quarter in the past, of course we have none now, some of it was in the form of warrants. So essentially stocks that they were giving out for that service rather than actually getting revenue. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but this was not mentioned before. And it makes me wonder about when we do generate revenue, in what kind of form is it going to be in? And then are we going to go back and change it again? And I don't know about the accounting rules on that, but to me that seems extremely, extremely dishonest. And that quarter we showed a bit of revenue. And I don't recall, I mean, comment down below, guys, if you remember something differently. I don't remember them referencing that, those warrants being issued for that revenue. So this was something that stuck out right away, and I think that's one of the reasons that the stock is getting absolutely hammered. And of course there might be other reasons as well. So cash again is down a little bit too, but still much better than Q2, 616 million.62. So not good and bad one way or the other, but still it's gotten worse, so that's a negative for the company. Deposits, I'm assuming, are about the same because they're still at about approximately 600 future astronauts, and I don't think they're going to open that up anytime soon. So let's take a quick look right now at the presentation that they provided. Now, this presentation itself really doesn't have that much information because there's actually not much really going on, and I think that's might be something bad here. Now, keep in mind, guys, I haven't listened to the first part of the conference call. I missed it. So if there's some things in here that I missed or other things that I missed that are important from the conference call, I'll leave them in a comment down below. But I think for the most part, I got a gist of it, and I'm going to be just mentioning what's going on here. So first, they start with their strategic priorities: fleet readiness, fleet expansion, customer experience, and customer strategy. Well, again, we need to see them deliver here, right? So This seems like a lot of just talk for me right now. Again, the next slide here, they're talking about the markets. We've already talked about this in previous videos. Private astronauts, microgravity research, well, you need to get there first. And professional astronaut training, you need to get there first. So again, these are their areas of expertise that they want to actually become areas of expertise, but hey, we're not there yet. So the next slide here basically talks about their corrective actions. We talked about last quarter how all these flights have been failing rather, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. But here they've talked about their EMI corrective actions. It was electrical magnetic interference, right? So they're saying they added electronic components to filter and prevent the generation of EMI. They want to dampen stray EMI generated by the ship's wiring, blah, blah, blah. And improved harness shielding and added components to suppress conductive EMI. So, here they're giving a little information, trying to explain a little bit why they're having issues, but now it sounds like they're having potential little issues with their mothership, Eve, and that machine is actually or that plane or ship rather, is quite old, and they're going to maybe do some maintenance on that. I think they described it as being tired or something to that effect. So that's just another layer of complexity on top, because the mothership is of course what takes it up, and then this is what comes off, right? But this in itself, we can't even get working correctly. Again, here they're going over their flight test program. The first flight, currently they're reevaluating the launch timing. So they want to have a rocket-powered space flight with 2 pilots on board. Second one, we haven't got there yet either. 2 pilots and a full cabin of mission specialists. And the third one, they're going to demonstrate that the private astronaut experience can be there, and they're going to be having Branson go up there. And of course, they're not going to open sales again until they've proven that. And then the fourth flight, they're going to be doing the microgravity research and professional astronaut markets, but that's really kind of far off, right? And we'll get a little bit into that. They talk a little bit more about that microgravity research. In terms of their fleet expansion, they unveiled the VSS Imagine. So that's the first, we talked about this last quarter, the Spaceship 3 class vehicle on March 30th, 2021, which is great, it's exciting, but I mean, if you can't even get the last class up working with your test flights, it doesn't mean a hell of a lot to me. So they're going to be doing ground testing followed by flight testing. They focused on scaling design and development capabilities, spaceships, rocket motors, and motherships. Again, this is just, in my opinion, just a lot of talk right now. This next slide here, customer experience, to me this just seems like such a lack of effort, like something you do in like high school, just commercial strategy, brand architecture. Like, it doesn't tell us much at all. They're not really telling us much. It's just a lot of fluff, in my opinion. Even this one, financial strategy, they're saying, again, they're repeating themselves, private astronaut market is approximately 600 future astronaut reservations, and they plan to reopen again after Branson goes up. But again, we can't get there yet. In terms of the microgravity research and professional astronaut training, they're basically saying it's going to be the first revenue flight, $2 million in total, and it looks like they upped that to $500,000 per seat. Current pricing, that's $600,000 per seat. But again, guys, this is something that remains to be seen, and I think investors are just getting a little fed up. Again, here about the financial results. You can see they've done the year over year. Like I said, we had a $129 million loss this quarter. They're saying $376 million, which is way more than before, because now they're changing the value of those warrants. I don't like that at all. So guys, not that much news, and really, again, we're stuck in this limbo, and this is why this stock is just tanking. We talked about this, we talked about this, we talked about this. See, I'm still waiting for these. What's the news on the Italian Air Force? Again, this could be in the conference call, but I doubt it. NASA, I guess that just is gone. And like I mentioned in my last video, that is a lack of faith in the company. If NASA thinks they can't deliver, maybe they're not going to deal with them again in the future. So these are another two huge things, other than, this first one that I would love to know your guys' opinion on down below. Of course, maybe somebody that knows a little bit more about that. This sounds really misleading to me. Other than that, I think, again, no sales reopening until we get him up there, and we're not having any luck now. There's planning now, they're saying, from what I heard, they're not giving any definite dates yet. There might be some maintenance on the mothership. That's bad news. So when is it going to be, right? And again, this is the big thing that I talked about last quarter. When is it going to be? Originally, Q3 2020, they said it was going to be in the fall, right? Then they were saying it was going to be in December 2020, and then we had all these EMI interface issues, or interference issues. That one failed. Then in February, it failed again, as we talked about last quarter. Then they said May, and here we are in May. Is it going to be done? I think people are losing faith, and I don't believe that they specified. Comment down below whether it's going to be done or not. So my opinion on the stock, guys, what I'm doing, I told you last video I might be interested in the teens, but if you go back and you watch my very first video, if you actually look at what the company originally said, a fair value, maybe at 30-40 times earnings, would be maybe sub 10, below 10. So I don't think at this time I'd even be touching this. Maybe more information will come out, but as of now, until we see that test flight, I mean, it might actually skyrocket after that. I'm personally myself not going to touch it, but I'm going to be watching it very close going forward. So again, guys, would love to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below, maybe specifically about this thing that this warrant issue that I'm talking about, and in terms of if you've heard any information on the shape that the mothership is in. So anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, really helps the channel, and I will see you in the next one.